What's the scariest experience you've had in your own home? Someone tried breaking in while I was at home. I was hungover and asleep on the couch. Someone started lightly tapping on the window. I ignored it. It was Sunday, like around the time people are at church. They threw a fucking rock through the window. It was close to the door. That woke me up for sure. And I went for my Glock 19 Gen 3 HST Federal 9mm HP Rand 33 Road Factory Glock mag. I waited to see what would happen. After about a minute, I saw an arm go through my window and try to unlock my door. I unloaded through the door. Cops said I did everything correctly, lol. This is not scary on itself, but I still don't know what happened. Nowhere to be found. We never found it. There was no way anyone could have come in and why would anyone take just a mop? It never appeared, and to this day we have no clue what could have happened. I was cutting cheese with a butter knife. Like a fool, the tip of the knife went through my finger. It was cold from handling the cheese, and it didn't bleed right away. And I thought it was fine, but then after I went to rinse it out, I guess it warmed up and the blood started pouring out. And I get dizzy when I see blood, and I live alone. There was a very real chance I was going to pass out, and I didn't know how bad the cut was. Fortunately, not very. But there was a moment where I was like, am I seriously about to go out like this? Our first house was gas, and we had a big propane tank outside for it. A couple weeks into living there, my girlfriend and I woke up to our entire house filled with fumes. Everything was super hazy. Immediately yelled out to not light a fucking thing and opened all doors and windows. It cleared out pretty quickly, but it was definitely a bit scary. Somehow we left the stove burner knob turned over, so it was just basically spraying out for 8 hours. Must have happened while we were cooking dinner or cleaning up afterwards. Lived in a house that was over 100 years old. Losing by itself. Someone banging on the attic door. Had someone dragged their finger down my back while walking upstairs one night. And having someone squeeze your big toe throughout the night sometimes. Scary at first, but at the end of 5 years living there, I had gotten used to it. Russian rockets exploding so close to my house that windows open halfway, and all the cars' alarms outside start simultaneously. Asa, isn't that scary? But when it's 5 times during a few hours, and each time it gets closer to you, makes you wonder maybe going to a bomb shelter would be a better idea in this particular case, lol. Home with my 3 under 3 kids, and the youngest choked on a stale puff. I was the only adult. No sound came out and his skin was turning colors. I was desperately hitting his back and Heimliching him. I could not stop to call 911 or get help. It thankfully dislodged and he cried. Most beautiful sound I could hear. He is 12 now. Mornings I wake up, and there's a lot of cockroaches scattering all over the place. Especially the sink, and I turn my water off at the main every night. So I don't understand, then all over the floor. Pardon me because I rarely swear on Reddit, but I really fucking hate cockroaches. They are indeed terrifying. There was a whole week where things were being moved and lights were turning on and off by themselves. One night I wake up to myself saying go away, and there's something black hovering above me. It just kind of drifted to the right and disappeared. Weirdest shit ever. It didn't come back after that. When I just moved in, I swore someone lived in the attic. I was a kid, but at night I can hear footsteps. Though, when I told my parents, they'd always ignore me. A year later, the footsteps went away and I never heard it again. My wetsuit was hanging on by a coat hanger on the door, and my wife woke me up to say there was someone in the room. It took a while, but that shit was fucking scary for a bit. Lived alone. Came home one cold winter night. I keep the house temp 65 when I'm gone, and went up to use the bathroom. The toilet seat was warm. Subtle but very unsettling. Sleep paralysis with a man in a trench coat and black hat made out of smoke standing in the edge of my room. It was the most horrifying thing I experienced my entire life. Hiding in our dark basement with our 5-year as a huge tornado barreled over our house. killing many people, destroying neighbors' homes, and ripping apart the entire city. My uncle banging on my door, trying to get inside to get at me, him kicking me, nearly getting killed after I got smashed on a concrete block by uncle at preschool. People I no longer wanted today who couldn't accept that randomly showing up. Gifts that were both hand-delivered, ordered online, arriving for months on my doorstep. A relative tripped and fell, injuring themselves, but they were on blood thinners and were basically gushing blood despite attempts to apply pressure. When I was greeted by police officers downstairs after my mum had tried to stab my stepdad while drunk to get her car keys back. Fuck you, Mom. Weird people knocking on my door at 10 p.m. asking to shovel my driveway. Had barely snowed. I didn't open the door and told them to leave. My today-old baby started choking on her mucus in the middle of the night. That was terrifying even though I knew what to do. Had some whack jobs knock on my door at around 9:30 claiming to be from the newspaper trying to conduct interviews. Got to high and convinced myself I was a home intruder in my two-bedroom at LOL.